welcome to another CineFix Now Roundtable. We are here, there are 5 of us, we're going to talk about stuff, ready, go. Right?
Go.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Panicky.
I just finished my coffee, so we got a narrow window.
Okay, we got a very quick window here, we got to be quick today.
Okay.
First thing that I want to talk about, because I'm really excited about, Alex Winter.
Yeah.
Bill S. Preston Esquire.
Oh, Alex,
hints.
not Edgar.
Right, correct. Drop some hints about Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah.
Which would be great. Apparently, don't short me. It's going to be awesome. They're going to save the world.
Great.
Wild Stallions rule.
Oh no, it's totally. I don't. This is a movie that you could make infinite sequels of, and it would keep being good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little disturbing though, because by the end of 2, they've gotten to the point where they're going to save the future. They've become these musicians, and the satellite went out.
Top beers.
Yeah, and the satellite went out, and they saved the world. Now it's like the story of them being in their 40s and they haven't done it yet is a little weird. I don't know.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah,
know.
but you have to remember at the end of Bill and Ted 2, right? They disappear, right? And they go away, and they come back, and they're like in their 50s or 60s, like ZZ Top old.
Dude.
Yeah,
they have
old.
babies.
No, they didn't age. They just grew beards.
They just grew beards.
Yeah, but they're not 50. You can grow a beard that long in like 5 years.
Is this the point we really need to debate?
Yeah, it really is. Because you're
So what
believing they were in their
I'm
50s because they had babies, and the princesses were like the same age.
Old dudes can have babies.
Bill and Ted got it on with the princesses pretty immediately. So we
Yeah.
should take
There's
how long they were
no
gone
way
by
they
both
were-
length of beard
and I
and
think
age
they're-
of
But they wouldn't use protection.
I
They
think
wouldn't,
they're
time
too
that
dumb
out
to use
intelligently.
protection, yes.
I think you answered your own question.
And the princesses are from the
I don't know why you
Middle
got
Ages.
so angry about that. My point was that
Because it's like a totally false perception of what happened in the movie.
That's what I always
And
thought
they said-
happened.
We are off and
Ted
running.
3 would be that
Sweet.
story of them going and.
If I know one thing, it's I know Bill and Ted, and that is wrong. That is wrong,
Thanks.
sir.
Okay,
Fine.
my
Jesus
coffee is
Christ.
already wearing off. Okay,
Okay.
so.
Well,
Okay, so there is time travel though, and that
Time
excuses
travel,
a bit of a
return
gap.
from the dead.
But the clock in San Dimas never stops running.
I really like sort of what they're planning on doing with this, doing like the multiple realities sort of thing, because that seems like
there's
it
gonna be
fits
several
into that
versions of them.
world, and it seems like there's a lot of different facets of their personality that you could sort of take away from the actors themselves and put into like different new acting vessels.
Well, I think the interesting thing too is that Bill and Ted's is the least grounded concept for a movie of all time. Like, these idiots will form a band and it will literally bring the world together. Like, it will bring about world peace because of this, like, these idiots and their metal band, right?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense at all. And it's awesome, and we went there with it, and it was so much fun. And then now, like, looking at maybe like, well, 20 years down the road, what happens when they just didn't save the world, Because, I mean, let's face it, they're idiots. It's like Bill and Ted has a midlife crisis. Like, that's kind of what it feels like a little bit.
That's why I say sure, because this is a concept that you can make infinite sequels of because it's so not grounded that it doesn't really matter what your excuse for going back into that well is.
It starts with them in the future
But-
at Rufus's funeral.
It feels, this is the 17th, like, 80s, 90s movie that we've talked about hearing a reboot or a 20-year delay sequel about. And, like, we've heard about these for the last, like, 6 weeks. There's been at least a Ghostbusters 3 or a,
Ridley Scott Science.
Yeah, Ridley Scott Science, #Ridley Scott Science, like, thing every week for the past, like, 6 roundtables. Don't fact check me on that. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, we're not going to annotate anything.
So the main reason I say sure is, like, is this just because everyone's doing it? Did Wild Stallions bend to peer pressure?
They've been talking about this for a while. I feel like it's been about 5 years where Keanu has been bringing this up on and off about him and Alex Winter working on it. And, and they even talked about the fact that, the news kind of broke that of them, like, writing the script, like, right when they started. And they talked about that in an interview recently, how it's kind of been a bummer because it takes a long time to make a movie and they're still writing the whole thing. But no, I feel like for Bill and Ted, I want to see, are they going to bring back, like, the Good Robot Us's, Station, the Grim Reaper? Are they going to go back in time and have, like, Albert Einstein and Lincoln and all these other characters?
That's like a big handful.
That's the thing. What are they going to...
I just want to see Station doing bong rips. That's like, it's like they're like trying to play. He's doing bong rips in the corner. Like, the Reaper is the only one that's trying to hold down a steady job that they can actually pay rent.
Like the Reaper comes home from like delivering pizzas or something. Yeah.
That's like groceries to make a sandwich. She's like, "Where's all the mustard?"
Yeah.
That's the greatest part about Bill and Ted is it's like the 80s yuppie version of a stoner movie because you never see them get high. They never talk about getting high.
Yeah, but that is the other thing that Alex Winter said in his little blurb here is that like we're making this for the fans.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of a slippery slope to be on because then all of a sudden you got to get Sigmund Freud, you got to get Freud dude back in here, and Beethoven, and like all of hopefully it doesn't turn into like this weird little greatest hits collection.
Well, I do like the idea though of having like different realities, like a Crisis on Infinite Earths version of Bill and Ted, where it's like they're all over the place and jumping
just like
dimensions.
multiples in one location.
Yeah.
And he hints at that in his little quote here. He's talks about there's going to be different versions of Bill and Ted going on,
Like them just standing up in a room yelling over a whole bunch of other Bill and Teds.
right.
Yeah.
It'll be like that episode where Homer gets cloned a whole bunch.
It'll also be interesting too because Doctor Who is so much more popular this sort of decade century compared to when the first one came out. It was already in the decline when the first ones came out. So it'll be interesting because
definitely in America nobody knew what Doctor Who was.
For the most part, yeah. And so for time travel and
Time travel
tolerated
in a
Doctor
phone
Who.
booth.
Time travel in a phone booth.
well, that's another actually.
It's a genre now.
In the original Bill and Ted, the time travel machine was a bus. Was like not a bus, a van, and but they were worried it was people would think it would be a rip off of Back to the Future, so they made it a phone booth instead.
Nice.
'Cause clearly they didn't care about ripping off Doctor Who.
The van seems like a rip off of the Mystery Machine, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I think what was really nice about it doesn't seem to be generated by anything more than these guys really want to do it, and they know the fans want to see it. It doesn't as much
studio
seem,
being like, we gotta resurrect
Yeah,
this 'cause
exactly.
we want money, we want to suck on a money tit.
exactly.
No, and that's why I sort of put this in talking about all of the other like 80s reboots that we've seen here lately. That's why I put this more in the category of the Ghostbusters rumors because like the Ghostbusters was like they sort of genuinely wanted to do one, but they wanted to do it right. And so that's why they never did one for the longest time. And so the situation has changed a little now with that one, but this feels more organic than any amount of Ridley Scott science. This sort of feels more like, you're right, it's not like a studio chomping at the bit to cash in on a reboot. It feels like they want to do it right, which is exciting because this is one of those movies that's like, my childhood, which is rad. And I did try to show it to some younger people at one point, which sounds really creepy when I just and I'm not going to explain it any further. I had younger people in my home and I showed them Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Get a little Jesus juice.
They didn't get it, which was upsetting. They fell asleep halfway through.
That is the question with like any of these reboots is, I know we care.
Yeah.
Right.
Does anyone under 20 care?
Me
And
as
it
a
turns-
30-something.
Yeah, it turns
I
out
care.
that people under 20 are like the target of.
So might as well make it rated R and market it.
But why would they? It's like
But I mean,
Yeah, I want to see rated R Bill and Ted. That'd be great.
But why would they care? There's like 18-year-olds now that think like Star Wars is the prequels, and they love the prequels. It doesn't matter what we say; they freaking love them, and that's just part of growing up.
isn't this like the perfect example of a movie that you can make it for sort of the audience that grew up with it, but you can also bring in a new audience
Oh, yeah,
with it?
absolutely.
Because it's like, if you look, like we were talking about, it really is kind of a squeaky clean movie. Like,
You actually could put Justin Bieber in it. You just have to make it.
There's no way it would have to be anything more than PG.
I don't even feel like they're going to have to put, like, there's not going to be forced casting because they don't need the money. Like, all Keanu has to do is be like,
Right.
yeah, I'll put up 1/64th of what I made off The Matrix this year,
Right.
just this year, and I can fund this entire movie. Like, it's not an expensive movie, and he's f***ing loaded.
Yeah, no, that I agree. This is definitely like the most promising of the long delayed sequels for a variety of reasons. I'm just curious how it's going to perform.
It's a fair question.
I mean, we're all gonna go see it no matter what. It'll probably be like we're all gonna go see it and we're gonna be mad about it because we're assholes. But
you're sort of like, is it going to be like the Veronica Mars movie that everyone was so excited, but it's not like it broke any records or anything because it's for a more cult audience.
yeah, I have no idea how far Bill and Ted's reach goes. If it's anything like my experience with showing movies to younger people, it's not very far.
Yeah.
Weren't those ladies, though?
They were little girls, yeah. Again,
That, by the way, is
look.
the thumbnail of you.
Not gonna explain myself any further. Look, I'm trying to
just
rebrand
trying to
myself
sell
here a little bit. You know, they were just trying to sell cookies.
Tell you what, I'll buy a bunch of cookies if you watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Watch this while I search for my checkbook.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. It's gonna
What's a
take me
check?
a couple hours.
I want to know who they're going to cast as their children, because they had 2 kids at the end. So are they going to go crazy? Is like Chris Hemsworth going to be Alex
Well, that's
Winter's
what I was thinking. Like,
son?
who would be like the alternate versions of Bill and Ted? Like, the first place that my head went to was Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto.
There you go.
Like, just let them be
That would be really
some
funny.
other multiverse version.
Oh, you didn't go Chris Pine and Justin Long?
Well, because there's
Justin Long would need to be
Yeah.
another one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a meta thing going on if you pick Star Trek,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, well, look, hey, we just talked for like 20 minutes about Bill and Ted, which I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with. But let's keep talking about stuff from the 80s again, because there's going to be no cleaner segue than that. Real Genius, which is another of my favorite movies from the 80s.
Great movie.
Real Genius movie about Val Kilmer and another guy. Basically, it's a school for geniuses. And you know they're all there. They're super smart, and they're developing this laser. And then they discover that the laser is being used by William Atherton, who is just king prick of the '80s.
Oh, for sure.
Between Real Genius, Ghostbusters, and Die Hard, like there's no better prick in 1980s cinema than William Atherton.
Totally.
But he's going to steal their school project, and use it for making giant amounts of popcorn. But it's going to be a show on NBC now. Mm-hmm. You're going to develop it for television.
And they're aging them up too. It's going to be about people in an office now, 2 guys in an office instead
Right.
of like I felt like it was college.
It was college.
Wasn't it college?
Yeah.
And it was
a
and the main
grad
character was like
program.
14, right?
Oh,
That was the
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, there
he was a boy genius.
14-year-old who got into science
And he's
college.
super nerdy, and Val
Yeah.
Kilmer's the party guy.
Fake Caltech or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what's so interesting about that movie is like everybody is like a teenager, but they're all in college. They're just so damn advanced.
Right.
Like Val Kilmer's like 17 in the movie, but he's a senior in college. And so you get that thing where there's like the main character who he doesn't want to be there because he's still a little kid, but he's a super genius. And then Val Kilmer teaches him how to party, but then gets shamed, for partying. And it's like
It's perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect 1980s.
See that,
Really
but
is.
that when I read the headline, I'm like, awesome. That would actually make a really cool TV show because college hijinks is a great through line for a TV show.
It's like never-ending content.
But now
This
it's like a
is
workplace
Workaholics,
comedy,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
which
So-
it could still work. There's no reason it couldn't work. I'm just not sure why they chose to not do the college hijinks.
I feel like workplace comedies are just a more comfortable thing for viewers and honestly for studios to sign off on.
I just hope they preserve the one thing where like the college environment let them do these projects just for the sake of doing them.
If it's like a think tank kind of environment, like it could translate exactly the same.
It could be like it could be like in Silicon Valley, you got that one character who's non-assigned, and so they
Right.
just fill their time with
Right.
weird shit.
people now they're working so much, because of the way the economy is, and that they are, comfortable to workplace stuff. But also, everyone I think kind of believes that their corporation could be making giant killer death rays in
Like
space.
weaponized pumpkins.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably why they're doing it. But there is something fun about it being in college, and also about them. It's weird because we now live in
college
this
is more fun.
Well, not just that, but we now live in this world where you get Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest men in the world, by like 25 or whatever, and so we're very familiar with that now. So it's funny to not have these young geniuses when we're all very like aware that this happens.
You also have the Mark Zuckerberg
Yeah.
example. Everybody who has made it, or at least the perception is, if you're a tech genius, you drop out of college as a sophomore
Right.
and sell your
Like you can't be successful until you drop out of college.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want it set in college because I love seeing nerdy people having to deal with like the college environment, like the frat party intersection. There's this weird.
There's that jocks versus nerds thing that we just don't get anymore.
Well, but that wasn't even part. Well, that they just did fun stuff. Like remember in Real Genius they had scene where they froze the hallway and people were ice skating and sliding down it. There was that sort of like
putting Kent's car in his dorm room.
yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
That's the sort of thing that we didn't. We stole the next hall's couch and we were gonna like hide it in various points around campus and or Photoshop it into environments like the Gnome and Amelie. We were going to do an Amelie prank with.
You're gonna pull an Amelie. Your college experience was a little different than mine. You pull an Amelie prank. Yeah, that's the most adorable and quirky college experience. You went to college with all the Deschanels. Well, okay, so Real Genius, however they're doing it, whatever. But it gets me to thinking, what other like sort of cult 80s movies would make good TV shows.
The one that I was telling you about is I'm really shocked that there's not a Caddyshack TV show.
Yeah.
Like that seems like something they would have monetized.
Well, and it's so ripe for the workaholics kind of treatment. You guys that are just sitting around getting high, not giving a shit.
Caddyshack's a great movie, but also it's so defined by these great performances, by like Bill Murray and Chevy Chase that
let's assume for a second that Hollywood doesn't care about that and only cares about money.
Fair enough.
What are you talking about?
That would never happen, good sir.
I would argue that because to your point, like Caddyshack is more famous for the performances more than it is like the world.
Yeah.
Because Caddyshack 2, as good as Caddyshack was, Caddyshack 2 was just that bad. It was on the other side of the spectrum.
The one thing Caddyshack has going for it that I also felt Real Genius has going for it is it's just kind of like random episodic plot structure where it really doesn't matter about I don't see a problem translating that plot into a television show because the plot was totally tertiary to that movie.
I'm surprised. Speaking of Chevy Chase, I know they've been talking about doing this Fletch movie for a while, but Fletch always seemed like it could be like a more interesting TV show.
Fletch would be a great TV show. They're doing it with Ed Helms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because he's just this wacky reporter who gets into all kinds of hijinks, and it's a great movie, and I feel like that would maybe make a slightly better TV show than movie.
What about the other one that I was thinking of, The Burbs? Would The Burbs make a good TV show?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
explain yourself, and then I'll counterpoint.
The Burbs is one of those movies that nobody will ever be able to make again because it has such a specific voice to it. And if you're looking for just like an extrapolation of like Suburbia, Suburbia kind of did that with like the weird sort of like fish out of water kind of thing. Right. But The Burbs has like all these...
Or Suburgatory, you mean?
Suburgatory. Yeah. Thank you. But like The Burbs has all these weird dark undertones that sort of go with it, and it doesn't really... It needs to be contained.
That's what I think. Is there room, though, for like... Because American Horror Story has done really well. And is there room for like a funny horror TV show? I think The Burbs could sneak into that realm. I mean, The reason that I don't think it would work ultimately is because if you do that where week to week you're doing different like what happens in The Burbs with, there's these creepy neighbors who are up to creepy stuff. Like you would have to sort of expand the whole world. There's like suddenly they live in this weird, creepy alternate world.
It would be a Netflix or an Amazon show.
Yeah, a 13 episode.
Something they could dump on. I know Amazon releases week to week, but it would be self-contained. You'd be guaranteed the 13 episodes that would take you through the arc.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like, that's a weird... People don't know... It's a tonally... I don't know if there's anything quite like that on TV, so you'd have to put it digital so that people could...
Make it a funny horror show.
I mean, isn't that kind of what Ghost Adventures is?
I don't know what Ghost Adventures is.
Oh man! If I'm naming the correct one, it's like these three guys, and they show up and they're like, "Come at me, ghost!
Yeah,
come at me!"
It's like Guy Fieri goes to a haunted house.
Yeah,
kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No idea what that is.
Yeah, my girlfriend calls that jacked guy scream at ghosts.
Jacked guy.
Yeah. You know what movie I want to see turn into TV show is Batteries Not Included.
Oh. Yeah, that is a good one.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
A bunch of people getting kicked out of their place, and these little aliens show up, and they're super cute and helpful. And
what channel would that be
on? I'm gonna go. It would be Fox. You're not expected to be Fox, but Fox would make it as edgy as it's necessary.
What is batteries not included? On the list of adjectives that describes batteries not included, like edgy is way down there.
Yeah, but those little aliens, they smash because they have children.
So you think it would be edgy because of the alien robot sex?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Flying saucer alien robot sex.
Flying saucer alien robot sex.
On Fox.
I gotta say, I'd really love to see a TV version of Mac and Me.
I was just thinking that.
Totally.
It could be on the McDonald's network.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The McDonald or the Adorable Bear Costume Network.
I'd vote Adventures in Babysitting.
I was thinking that
Because
too.
it's set up episodically and then it ends as though it's a pilot for a TV show.
Yeah, but it's so self-encased. It's like doing Die Hard in a TV show. It's so self-encased into one night. I think that would be the
But
difficulty.
then you do
Adventures in
multiple
Babysitting.
nights, and like you mix it with a little Adventures in Babysitting and the Babysitters Club.
She would be the worst
he would
babysitter in the
have to
history of
be
the
the
world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't she? Like every episode, she's getting these kids in a near-death
to keep moving
situation.
from town to town.
Thing, right? It would
Yeah,
be episodic.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Serialized.
Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. It's Adventures in Babysitting meets the original Hulk series. Because like she's got to keep like going from
Going to
town to
different
town
towns.
to get.
It would have to be like 24, like in real time. Every
Every
babysitting
season
job
would be- yeah,
is like
one babysitting
another
job.
6-hour
I love that
babysitting
because like
job.
when you can't find a kid and you're supposed to be in charge of the kid, it's instantly like, oh no.
Right. What about Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that too.
Stretch that out.
Yeah, you could probably stretch that one
You
out.
could get that to a season 2.
I was mostly just throwing that out there as an example of a bad idea.
The problem with that, with what you brought up though, is like that's what a studio would do. That's been the problem with a lot of these shows that have been on major networks. Is like they pick these ideas that can only really be pilots. They're like movie ideas, and then they kind of like bumble their way through a season.
How
No
is
one wants
12
to watch
Monkeys
it.
gonna end up being a whole series?
Yeah, that's gonna be tough because they're gonna have to keep on preventing the apocalypse like
Right.
every few episodes.
Well, look, I think all of those are great ideas.
Yeah.
Literally all of them, except for Adventures in Babysitting. That was a bad idea.
I think by 24, Mash
Well, yeah,
really redeemed that idea.
Adventures in Babysitting, or I'm sorry, no, it's Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
was the bad idea.
Oh, okay.
Excuse
Adventures
me.
in
No,
Babysitting.
The Adventures of Babysitting
gonna
meets
say.
the original Hulk series meets 24.
Yeah.
I think I should cut around that because that's our idea.
We have it. It's
Our idea.
ours.
It's ours.
We're going to take that to the West Tower.
Take it to whoever owns the rights to Adventures
Oh,
in Babysitting.
Can we do a TV version of just Star Trek 4? Like no
Just-
other Star Treks, just 4.
Where they're just hanging out in
where
San
they go into
Francisco?
the past and
Yeah.
save the whales.
Save the whales.
Let's do it.
Present.
It's the best.
If there's any time left over after we do Adventures in Babysitting,
That's always bothered me.
It's the best. Because they had to, because only the whales could communicate with the evil alien thing that was going to destroy the future.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I forgot that's why. I thought it was
why.
just they saved the whales.
It's an awesome movie. It's one of my favorite Star Trek movies.
I love it.
completely forgot
But
about
like
that.
having to save the whales is such like an of its time.
Oh, yeah.
What the f-
Oh, totally. But I think they made it
Go
clever.
fuck yourself,
Like,
Star Trek.
The idea was this alien, the last time it was here was so long ago that like the whales were still there and it was communicating via whale talk. And so the computers of the Federation knew it was whale talk. And they're like, crap, we need whales. They all died because humans suck. And so they had to go around the sun, go back in the past, find the last whales, bring them back, build a big tank in the Klingon ship, go back around, save the future.
If we don't stop
Yeah, when you
these
say it like
seals
that,
from
it sounds
being
great.
clubbed,
My question about that whole movie is, so they go back to the 1980s, where there's these two whales in the most heavily populated city of the time, and they're going to take them out in clear view of everybody. Why not go back just 100 years earlier when they're just teeming in the ocean, and then just sweep it out?
they
real quick?
because then we wouldn't get a whole bunch of nuclear vessel talk.
Yeah, and the other problem with that is they don't have a time machine. They whip around the sun and somehow
Okay,
go back
I'm
and past.
done.
So they have no idea where they're actually going.
I do think I am
Also,
glad.
if you ever get the opportunity to save the world via saving the whales, repopulating a species via 2 specimens is not the way to go.
Yeah, because they'll all get inbred and stupid real quick. I am glad that we bookended this roundtable with an argument between Mark and Dave, though. So, what were we talking about? Okay, so all of those 80s movies are going to make great TV shows one of these days. I promise you.
They probably will.
Not Mac and me.
Not Mac and Me, and not Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Outside of that, though, I think we got nothing but good ideas. Let us know what your great ideas are for 80s show. What cult 80s movie should be a TV show now in present day? What would you whip around the sun for to go and rescue?
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
in San Francisco, and what was that, the year, like the futuristic year of 2003 or something like that?
Oh no, it was 1980. So
They came back to the present.
Yeah.
Copy. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've seen Star Trek.
It was a year before Next Generation, so it must have been 86, right?
well, clearly.
When it came out.
That's how I measure my time as well. So let us know what you think about all that in the comments down below. Come back next time for more movie news on CineFix Now, and we're going to continue this debate about Star Trek 4 off camera.
Cool. I actually think Howard the Duck needs to tie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by a TV show.
Oh, God.
No, that'd be great. If he's going to do it, they're going to do it that way, I think. He doesn't deserve his own movie yet.